Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Pure English Practice. I am Karen Taylor of the Color Vowel Chart and of Blue Canoe. So glad to have you here. I'm going to start by just welcoming folks. Let's see who's in the room. If you would, please find the chat so that you can write your name. And I'd like to know what languages we speak. How about that today? What languages do you speak? And I'm going to say languages because I think many of us speak more than one language. So you can list your native language. You can list the English because you're learning it or because you speak it. So let's find the chat there. And I will type in my languages as I read yours. Hi, Doug. So Teresa, see, I didn't know you speak Spanish. Beautiful. And Debbie speaks some French, and Tawiva speaks some Arabic and English. Beautiful. Welcome, Sue. You speak Korean. I'm Karen, and I speak English and Spanish. Right? And Chrissy speaks Thai. I love knowing that. Chrissy, I'd love to hear you. I'd love to hear all these languages, but I'm always interested. I see you in class and I've never heard you speak Thai. So, you want to say
Sawadee
something?
ka, Karen. Sawadee mai ka.
Very nice. Thank you very much for that greeting. Buenos días. Gracias por introducirte en español. It's so nice to hear different languages today. Hello, Julie from Vietnam. Welcome. Mary Alonso, nice to know you also speak Spanish. Great. Anastasia speaks Ukrainian. And I'm going to try this name. Vyacheslav speaks Russian. Forgive me. We try. Sometimes we actually talk about names and the color vowel chart, but today we have a special topic. We'll meet for about a half hour today. Usually I meet a longer time because I have more time, but teachers, today is a big day for teachers. Raise your hand if you're a teacher in the room. English teachers are always welcome. Good. How many of you are English learners? English learners. We bring teachers and learners together in this class so that we can share our perspectives. We all have something to learn. But teachers, this afternoon, I'm running a special webinar for English teachers. So I hope you'll be joining me, and I'll give you that link in the chat for teachers. Okay. So take a look there. If you haven't already signed up for my webinar and wish to attend, that's 3 days for teachers starting today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Learners, I want you to know we have a special pronunciation class opening up in January, and I'll share this link with you and show you a little bit about what we're doing with that. When you click on that link, you'll see this page. This is our English Learners course page. You are now in English, Pure English Practice. That's a free class for the world. We always run that twice a month on first and third Tuesdays usually. But this course, Speak Confidently, is a special 4-week course with a small number of students with individual feedback. We focus on stories, and we focus on spontaneous speech with correction and practice, okay? So you can learn more about those courses with 4 different start dates in 2024. January, we have April, July, and October. So take a look at that. That is a course for intermediate and advanced English learners, especially including those of you who teach English in your country. So if you are a second language speaker of English and you teach English in your country, this course is especially for you. Okay, so I'll leave that there. Questions can always go in the chat, but let's go ahead and warm up. Behind me, I've got the color vowel chart, and I'm going to make it big for you so you can see it. If it's your first time today to see the chart or to see me, just follow along like everyone will. You're going to do what I do with my hand, and you'll look at the chart as I point to it. It's pretty simple. I'll take this off so we can see me more. My arms will disappear if I leave that yellow shawl on. All right, so follow with me. Make sure that you have your mute on, your microphone off, and you will repeat with me. I'll show you. Okay, here we go. Wheel, wheel, green tea, wheel. Listen. Build, build, silver pin, build. Great. Wait, wait, gray day, wait. Address, address, red pepper, address. Past, past, black cat, past. Good. Stalker, stalker, olive sock, stalker. Good. Koi, koi, turquoise toy, koi. Course, course, orange door, course. Grown, grown, rose boat, grown. Wood, wood, wooden hook, wood. New, new, blue moon, new. One, one, a cup of mustard, one. Hurting, hurting, purple shirt, hurting. Flower, flower, brown cow, flower. And aisle, aisle, white tie, aisle. Very good. That was an interesting warm-up because today's theme, as you might remember, is homonyms. Homonyms. Let's take a moment to talk about what a homonym is. Let's see if I can show you something here. Let's see. The theme today was homonyms. There we go. Homonyms. And so these are words that can sound the same, even though they look different. There are different kinds of homonyms. Teachers, those of you who are thinking about homographs and homophones and all of that, we can be more specific. But today we'll just call these homonyms, meaning homo meaning the same, and nym meaning word, same word or same name, okay? So it's getting at the idea that these words have something in common. And in this case, these words all are pairs that sound the same, but look different, right? So interesting. So weather, except, allowed, as an example, okay? But what I'd like to do is focus on the words I just used. So if we can, the first word that I said in my list was wheel. And I'd like you to go into the chat, learners, teachers, you can hold off. Learners, go into the chat and write the word that you heard. And if you heard two words, you can write both of them. Okay, so the first word is wheel, wheel. It's like a puzzle. We want to find both of those meanings. Wheel, wheel, good. And I will share my screen with you. We're going to write these down, okay? So there we go, wheel, wheel. All right, take a look here. Okay, so good. So we have a wheel, like a wheel on a car or a bicycle. And we also have the contraction wheel, which is we will, right? Wheel, wheel. So those sound the same. What's nice is those are very different words, so we won't confuse them very much when we speak, because one is attached to a, we will go, we'll go, and we have a wheel on the car. But they sound the same, and that might be interesting to you, right? What about the silver word? If you remember it, build, build, build. Find the chat. Show me what you're hearing. Build, build, build. Good. I see a lot of people got build there, like build a building or build something new, like a school. You could build a house. There's another build build. And I want you to think about sort of the past tense. Good, you got it, mucho and tam. So like they billed me after my visit to the doctor, they billed me, right? So they billed me. I'll kind of put it like that. They billed me. Okay, great. All right. Next one was wait. Wait. What word do you hear? Wait. Wait. Okay, I see both of those. Great. So wait. So here's wait for me. Wait for me. And the what is it? Like the maximum weight allowed. Okay. So, and say an elevator might have a maximum weight. It'll say 300 pounds or I don't know, whatever the amount, right? Wait for me and the maximum weight allowed. Okay, great. How about our red word, red, pepper, We call these by their color vowel because the vowel sound in these words, it's difficult to describe them otherwise, right? The spelling can change, like AI in wait and EI in the other wait. And so we can't really call that the AI sound because those spellings are always changing. In fact, spelling doesn't determine pronunciation in English. So we use color vowels. So the red sound, red, pepper, is the featured sound in this word. This one's tricky, by the way. Teachers, you'll like this. And you learners will too. Address, address, address. What do you hear? Address. And I told you it's a little bit tricky. So there are two things you're hearing. Oh, Toiva, you're so good. Okay, so we have address, this one. And in the way that I said it today, it's with stress as shown here, okay? But I want you to know, so this is like my address is, my address is 123 Main Street, right? That same sentence, by the way, could be black, because there are two ways that people like to say this word. So some people say my address is 123 Main Street. Okay. But this was the fun that we had today. So I'll just kind of leave that extra. My address and she wore a dress is my homonym. So sometimes a word and a phrase can sound the same simply because they do behave the same way, right? They sound like one word, address. Beautiful. My black sound, my black word was past. Black cat, past. Good. So one is in the past. So in the past, I'll just say that's in the past. Great. And then the other would be, we passed by the house would be a nice way to think of that. Right? We passed by, and those are the same. Okay. Any questions about these first items? Be sure to put those in the chat. Okay. They build me. So English, we're speaking English. That's the first way that we use English. The written form is a parallel system. It looks different, but don't let those spellings confuse you. We want to listen with our ears and ask ourselves, do those sound the same or are they different? Okay. Our white word, let's move on to white. We had, let's see, we're on to, olive. We're right here. Our olive word is stalker. Stalker. This one's also a little tricky, but I have a story to go with it that I think you're really going to like. Stalker. So one is stalker with an O, okay? And that stalker would be someone who works in a grocery store or another place where they stock inventory. Maybe they take the cans out of the boxes and they put them on the shelf. Okay, there's another kind of stalker. WK, I see something with an A. I'm going to add to that. It's stalker, stalker. Okay. And that's someone who spies on someone. I don't know quite how to describe it, who is watching another person secretly. It's kind of creepy. So there's stalker and stalker. Okay. I'm going to share my story about that for a moment, if you don't mind. Okay, so this is a real story. So I was talking to my friend about my husband. When he first moved to this country, he had to get a first job before he could get another job. And I said to her, I'm so happy my husband got a job as a stalker. And she heard this. She heard this. And so she sort of paused and said, really? What do you mean he got a job as a stalker? And I said, he got a job as a stalker. And so she then laughed, and we laughed. And this particular homophone or homonym is interesting for us, for native speakers of English, because some of us say them in the same way, and some of us do not say them in the same way, right? So what I said in my mind was a stalker, and what she heard was a stalker. And I'd like to just show you the difference between that. I was thinking in my mind, olive, sock, stalker, but the way that I said it, she heard Auburn dog stalker. Okay. So English speakers can sometimes also be confused by our own pronunciation. That is very common. We will have these sort of funny moments and we'll laugh about it. So I kind of wanted to share that, because I know when there's misunderstanding, and if you're a learner, you can think, oh, it's always my fault. It's always my pronunciation, but it's not. Sometimes it's just the nature of the word and how similar those pronunciations are. But a third factor is, where is the other person from? What kind of English do they speak? Because that's when we communicate, that's when we have to perceive the other person. So don't worry when there's a misunderstanding. Be ready to have a good laugh about it, right? This is stalker, 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 stalker. Works really well. So that was just a little story for you. Okay. I have a couple of other good stories, but I'd like to return to our list because I think you like it. So there's stalker and stalker. Our next one is coy. 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 Notice that I didn't use Auburn, by the way. So I could put this one, stalker and stalker, right there. And I know that people like Doug in the room will be very relieved, because for him that is an Auburn word. Okay. I don't have this sound in my dialect of English, and that's okay. All right. So the next category is turquoise, toy, oi, and the word is coy. Coy. Do we know what the two words are? Let's see. Coy. Good, Tuiba. Coy and tam. Very good. So we've got coy, which is they're a couple. Coy here. Koi is a fish. It's a beautiful fish, a peaceful fish, an artistic fish. And then there's another koi. Tuiba, I see koi, K-O-Y. Is that a name with a capital K? There's another one. You can explain that in the chat. There's another one that's C-O-Y. I know it's very tiny here. I'll put it in the chat so you can see it. Koi, C-O-Y. I'll put it over here too. Lord. Okay, koi. I don't know why I can't seem to type in my chat. So, all right. So stick with me there. So koi, a fish, and then C-O-Y. And that koi is a kind of personality trait where maybe a teacher can help me out. I don't have a good short description of koi, but it's sort of playful, I'll call it. A kind of playful attitude. Okay, great. Okay, I don't know, but I guess. Yeah, maybe koi is a name. Good. So you might have some others. Koi, small c. Okay, great. All right, the next one. Course. Course. Orange door course. While you're thinking about that word, course, notice how you can hear a lot of purple in that sound because it moves from this o position, or course. Okay. Yes. So course can be course. Okay. And like of course, or like a course that you might take at school, of course, right? And the other course, good, Tim. Yep, I see that. Course. Course. Coarse. And that means rough. Okay, course, rough. Okay, great. Our rose homonym is grown. 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 Okay, so one is grown, Grown, grown. And by the way, what I'm doing when I spell out loud, maybe we'll start practicing this so I can hear your voices today. Notice that when I spell out loud, I usually say them in groups of 3 or 2 or 4. So Grown, little pause so we can write. Grown means all grown up, not young, right? And then the other grown, any ideas about that? Yeah, good. I see a lot of ideas there. Grown. Tam, well done. So we've got Tam is Groan. And that is to, can we all groan? Oh, it's sort of this noise we make when we're unhappy about something. So to express discomfort, let's say. If your stomach hurts, you might groan. That would be a good reason to groan, is if you don't feel comfortable. Okay. Groan. Great. I'm not underlining the way I normally would. I should be doing that. So we always like to do that so we know where the spelling is. Okay. Wonderful. Here's our wooden sound is wood. 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 What do you hear? There are 2 woods. Yeah. So if I can have a volunteer, great. I see wood. Tam, since you've been responding a lot, would you be willing to spell those 2 woods for me out loud?
Okay. First one is WOOD, and
Great.
second one WOULD.
Great. Yeah. Thank you very much. And do we have a quick definition? Wood would be wasn't that nice? Wood would be from a tree, right? And Tam, can you help me with the second wood?
This is the I would like to, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a polite version of I don't know, that's kind of hard to define, but wood, as in I would like. Okay, I would like some wood. If you were going to go buy some wood. Thank you, Tam. Well done. Okay. We always underline the vowel letters so that we can explore spelling later on. In our Speak Confidently course, you will do a lot of this kind of work to build your intuition for how words are spelled and how they sound. Okay, great. In our blue category, we've got new. Yep. And thank you to, I just saw the comment about course as a lesson. And so say a biology course, right? I could do that down here. All right, great. New. So we have new. I need another speller, please. Who can be another speller for me? A volunteer. Maybe Julie. I see you.
Hi.
Julie. Hi. Can you spell those?
New.
Great. Can you spell the 2 kinds of news for me, or 3 kinds of news? Thank you, Lynn.
Okay. You hear me?
I do. I hear you.
Okay. New. Blue moon new.
Great.
New. NEW. And another new like KNEW.
Good. There's one
Yeah.
more. Do you see it in the chat, Julie? I know you're on a phone, so maybe you don't see it yet.
Sorry.
There's one. Yeah, there's one more. Lynn, could you spell that one for us since you wrote it?
GNU.
GNU. It's a bird. It's a big bird. A new. Okay, they're said the same way. So new, not old. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. New, as in no. Okay, and new as in bird. Are there any other news? Have I missed any? Let's see. All right, and there's the new. So notice, in reverse, this is easy because we can think of the words we know. And we can write them down if you know these words, right? We have to connect our spelling and our reading and our mind. But think in reverse. If you find this word for the first time, like would, WOULD, and you're learning it, you might have said wowed, right? If you don't already know the word. So that's why we need to look things up in the dictionaries, or in the case of Blue Canoe, I want to show you a little treat. So if we go to Blue Canoe Learning, this is our Color Vowel app for learners. There's a new feature I want you to notice, and it's called Wordsmith. In Wordsmith, you can enter a sentence and you can choose whether you want it to be rewritten for you. I'm going to choose no change though, and I'll show you why. How do you say new? Okay, and if I put this in, hopefully we'll see what kind of answer I get. We're connecting with, we are connecting with the Blue Canoe dictionary in your app, but this is a free desktop tool. So now I can see that new is a blue moon word. So that's kind of a fun way, an easy, fast way to see what color a word is. If you want to hear it, then you can go into the Blue Canoe app, and that's what you do have to purchase the premium to have that app. But there's one more way you could do this, and I want to show you that as well. Notice in my little dashboard up here, I've got the Blue Canoe app. It's a what do you call that? Help me out. It's called an integration or a extension. Thank you. It's an extension. So if I'm say I'm on the Washington Post or in any kind of web-based, I'm going to pick something not so scary. The news is always scary. I'll use just this article. I can click on a word and I can, let me see here. There we go. Blue Canoe will look up that word for me and it will translate it to me for the language I choose, and I can listen to it. People. I don't know if you can hear my audio or not, but it's playing people. Okay. Green tea. People. Okay. So the Blue Canoe dictionary as a browser extension is on also the Blue Canoe website. If you scroll on the homepage to the bottom, you will find, I'm just going to scroll. There's the browser extension, and I will actually put that link in the chat right now. If you work on a computer a lot, this can be quite handy. Okay. So there's the dictionary extension. Okay. And then you'll find Wordsmith up above. You can type any sentence. Like if I just copy this sentence, I can then ask it to make it casual in American, or they say British. This is Chat GPT basically doing fun things for us. Okay. Submit. And it will change the way it sounds. It'll check your spelling. And then that should work this time. Okay. So have fun with that. That's kind of an interesting way. Sometimes the reaction is not as marked up as we want. This one doesn't have anything. Okay. But give it a try. It's kind of a new toy. It behaves a little bit erratically like a toddler, but we like it. It's kind of fun. Okay. Great. So here we are. I'd like to fill in the rest for us before we finish up with questions. Remember, we had a cup of mustard one, and one. Yeah, I won the game. There you go. Very good. Okay, that one and that one. My second story today is a story when what is that story? Hold on a second. There are a couple. This one. My husband's name is Juan. And so people confuse Juan, my husband Juan's name, with one. So I like this chant. Juan won one time. Juan won once. Americans struggle with this name sometimes. They say Juan, and then Juan and Juan and once all sound almost the same. Okay. So up here in one and one, sometimes people, if they hear also Juan, okay, that might turn out to sound a lot like one and one in English. Does your name sound like a word in English? I'd love to know if anybody has a name in their language that sounds like a word in English, or that English speakers confuse as a word in English. Okay. Hurting. This is my favorite story of all. Hurting. Can you hear the two words in there? Hurting. 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 So one is hurting, like my leg has been hurting lately. And the little surprise in there is that if you've heard British English, or if you speak British English or a Commonwealth English, you'll say hurting with a t sound, a T sound. But in North American English, it's hurting, hurting. And that's right. I see it over here, Teresa. It sounds a lot like hurting. Okay, hurting. Very good. Now, my story for that, I think you'll really like also. So my, again, co-author Shirley, we were in New Mexico together with her grandson, and we saw some cowboys working with the cattle. And she said to her grandson, look, they're herding the cattle. And he said, well, why are they herding the cattle? And he was upset. I have to add that. Why are they herding the cattle? He said. And we realized that he was upset because he thought they were hurting the cattle. Right. He saw them with these are not actual pictures from that moment, but I think they had the whip, they were sort of using tools to herd the cattle. So it really did look like they were hurting the cattle, when in fact they were herding the cattle. Okay. So I use this again, just as, these stories are wonderful. We want to enjoy these moments where language is, there to be, I don't know, sometimes to confuse us, but also sometimes just to charm us or to give us a kind of joy. I know not all miscommunications are joyful, but sometimes they're charming. And I think I want to welcome you to the club of English speakers and say, this can happen for you too, and you can enjoy it rather than worry that it's your fault, if that ever feels like a thought of yours. Okay. So that was a nice moment there. All right, let's finish up. We've got our brown homonym is flower. 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 And I'd love to find a volunteer, since Katarzyna, since you wrote flower first, would you mind, could you turn on your microphone and spell it for us?
Yes.
Yay.
Flower. Hi.
Good. Can you spell?
Flower.
F.
Flower.
Right. And
flour as a product to make dough.
that's right.
Flour.
There we go. A flower, like
Plant.
Yep, like a rose or a plant. Exactly.
Rose.
Did you know that these are the same? That they sound the same? Is this your?
Yes.
Yeah. So are any of these surprising to anybody? Are any of you surprised by any of these? And I'd like to know, which ones you're surprised by. Thank you. Thank you for spelling that aloud. I appreciate that, Katsarina.
Yes,
Okay.
sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Our white word is aisle. It's the last one, aisle. And then I'm opening up for questions. Aisle. Aisle. Good. That's definitely one, Anastasia. I''LL, like I will go. Okay. Then we've got two. Interesting. We've got a bunch. Okay. So then we have aisle. I'll go with the most common. Aisle, which is like in a theater, a row in a theater. Okay. Or a walkway in a theater, let's call it. Right. And then we also have isle, which is an island. Right. So we have three of those. I think those are all of them. Unless somebody knows another one. Okay, great. So which ones, were there any surprises here for anyone? Surprises. Claudia says, I think in context, it's easier to identify. That's true. But the isolated words, sometimes I don't remember all the positive alternative words. Yeah. You'd be the person who thought your husband was a stalker. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's, we don't really confuse these when we're speaking, but when we're listening, if the context is the same, that's when we can have these interesting misunderstandings. Okay. And so, address possibly, certainly the stalking. Another one that actually, Shirley and I tell a lot of stories. I think you can tell. I'll share one more that was a real story, and that is, okay, I'll stop my share here and just tell it to you. So she was telling me about how she and her husband had to meet with their lawyer. And their lawyers, they'd talked with the lawyer's secretary, and they said, Dawn will meet you at 10 o'clock. And so they showed up for their appointment at 10 o'clock, and they were both waiting in the room. And a woman walked in and said, and she said, are you Shirley and Clyde? And they said, yes. Are we ready to meet the lawyer? And she said, I am the lawyer. So the confusion, and she was a little bit kind of a little insulted because there was an assumption that maybe she's a woman and therefore she's not the lawyer. But it wasn't that. The confusion was that on the phone, the person had said, Dawn, the lawyer. And so what did they hear? They had heard Dawn. They'd heard Auburn dog Dawn when the other person was thinking like me with stalker, olive sock Dawn. Or vice versa, rather reverse that. They heard Dawn when the other person meant Dawn. So when the woman walked in the room, this is Dawn, they were expecting a man, and therefore they didn't recognize that person as the lawyer. They thought that was the secretary. And so then she had to say, no, I'm the lawyer. So that's a real context where the names Dawn, D-O-N, thank you, Claudia, and the man's name D-O-N and the woman's name D-A-W-N are the same context. They're both names. They're both nouns, right? That's when you can have a true confusion. Yeah. But other than that, it's the spelling of English that usually is the misleading factor. And so we often deal with those. And I'll just share one of those for English learners that often I'm told about. Legible. Okay, so take a look at these two words in my chat here, right here on my board. This would be an example of two words that can seem like homonyms when they're not. And that's what we need to learn. So and I heard this in a real situation in customer service. The customer service representative said, you're not eligible for that discount. You're not eligible for that discount. So what's the difference? Which one should I be using for the discount? If they say you're not for the discount, what do you think? Is it the first one or the second one? Right? So it's this one, of course, right? You're not eligible for the discount. So we need to mark this up for some clarity. We're going to borrow my red pepper for both. Okay. So here's eligible. Try that. Eligible. Eligible. Red pepper. Eligible. Good. So you're not eligible. You're not legitimate for this. Your situation is not going to work for this discount. That's different from illegible. Illegible. Where's the stress in illegible? You can show me. You can show me with, I'll take off my spotlight so I can see you all. There we go. If you say illegible, listen to me, illegible, where's the stress? Illegible, right? Illegible. I'm kind of slow motion right now, but watch and listen how my voice is longer in time and a little bit higher in pitch. Illegible. I'll try not to move. Illegible. Can you hear it? Illegible. Okay. So we can use our hand to create that time. Illegible. And the first one was eligible. Illegible. Eligible. Illegible. And one more time, eligible. One more time, legible. Good. And so we can mark that up and then practice with our bodies. And that's what we do a lot of in our classes. Right, there we go, illegible. These are the kinds of words I know you think about. So please be sure to share those over in the Pure English Practice community. You can always ask a question there. If you have come here through a friend or through a teacher and this is your first time, I invite you to join the Pure English Practice community. I'm going to put that link over here in the chat. Okay, great. And so join that and we can have that dialogue. We'll be meeting one more time in December, 2 weeks from now, same time, same more or less place in Zoom. I will take some questions. Yeah, thank you. I want to just acknowledge all the wonderful people who are here today. Whether you can show your camera or not, you are welcome. We love having you. We didn't talk as much today with practice, but I know you were listening a lot and I love the chat. Questions from you. You're welcome to turn on a camera if you have a question. Teachers included. Or one, we can finish up if there are no questions. One, say surprise or a takeaway, as we call it, something that you'll take with you. Maybe you'll mention it to a family member today, or something that you'll think about. Any final thoughts?
Karen, hi, I say address. And I was thinking address as more like the verb, you address an audience. So is that like regional or is that just like all over the country, the difference between address or address as on a letter?
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. That is a case where actually within the same person, I might say address. What's your address? What's your address? So you may find within even yourself that you use the stress in both places, both for the noun. Okay. And then there is the verb, and I just hadn't thought of it when I created this little warm up. So thank you for noting that. So if we come back to this address, and my address, those are both nouns, but then you can say, you can address the audience, for example, right? Or I addressed, yeah, usually addressed the audience, let's just say. And there it's a verb, okay? And that addressed will never be black. We never say I addressed the audience. It'll always be the red version, but the noun is variable and you'll hear both. Oh, thank you for that clarification, that addition, Christine, that's really helpful. Any other questions or comments?
Oh, excuse me, it's not a question, but would you please post the previous some sessions on the app, because some of my friends were absent and they want to see the videos, but
Sure.
they cannot find. So please.
Okay,
thank you very much.
I'm a little behind on the last time we met. You're right, so I'll get that posted for you. I'm glad to know that you're sharing, talking about these videos. So thank you.
Thank you.
Will do. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm always open to, your ideas for future sessions. When you're in the community, you'll see we have an upcoming session think our next one is, well, I won't guess. I won't go back and look, but you can. We have some interesting topics. But talk to me if you have an idea for a topic, and I'll be happy to put that together. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Yep. Thank you for the stories, Claudia. I'm glad you like those stories. And Doug, I like that too. The spelling of your name can sometimes change. It sounds like, and yours is a homonym. That's right. A homophone. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Be well. Have a safe week in 2 weeks. I'll see you 2 weeks from now back in this room. And I hope you'll be in touch with me. Take care. Bye-bye.